By high school English standards, I'm a solid B student, A- at most. So if you're looking to ace that English assignment, I'm not your guy. However, for everyone else who wants to write stuff that's engaging and interesting, here are the topics I'll cover. Having something to write about, read more, write how you speak, respect grammar and punctuation, drafting, having a robot give you feedback, writer's block. Have something to write about. If you have nothing to write, then don't. Originally, I wrote this section saying, like any skill, do more of it. I thought that was the magic sauce that helped my writing. Until I read this article by Ryan Holiday. So, you want to be a writer. That's mistake number 1. I will link it in the description below. Essentially, writing is a means to an end, not the ends itself. An author produces his best work when he is itching to communicate his ideas, to convey his truth to the world. I'll read an excerpt from Ryan's article. If you want to be a writer, put writing on hold for a while. When you find something and you can't wait to share with the world, you'll beat your fat hands against the keyboard until you get it out. The message and conveying your internal dialogue is more important than the act of writing itself. This ties into our podcast I was listening to with Mark Manson on the Iced Coffee Hour. He said to write about things that generally flow for you, stuff that you can easily write about, experiences, passions, learnings. As Ryan mentions in his article, the good in his writing comes from reading books, taking risks, traveling, hustling, having smarter friends, living a well-lived life. If there was one piece of advice to improve your writing, do more shit. Read more. Read books, because you will never be able to meet and spend uninterrupted time with the thoughts of so many brilliant and unique people. Mark Manson. Reading other people's writing will help you improve your thinking, for writing is the marking down of thoughts. To read is to be temporarily possessed by the author with his thoughts. Reading, therefore, is like becoming an apprentice to a master craftsman, though read without the expectation of outcome. If you read in order to become a better thinker and writer, not for the sake of reading itself, there's only so much motivation. Find a genre of text that you genuinely like to read. The point of the activity is the activity itself, and maybe one other benefit, the different perspectives you get on life. So, if you're a self-improvement junkie, don't read to get some benefit out of it. The actual benefit is the reading itself, a forbidden technique. You can read multiple books at the same time. Unlike skill, you don't have to finish every book you start reading. I take this idea from Naval Ravikant that some books just have a central idea and are riddled with just examples. Take the meat, spit out the bones. However, if you do come across a book that you are engrossed in by its language or ideas, don't stop yourself from finishing it. Write how you speak. Writing and talking are two different arts. However, I find my writing becomes engaging if it sounds like how I speak. So, writing becomes a matter of how filtered and refined you want to be. This indistinguishableness between writing and speaking is what made my grades fall in English class, but produces more engaging stuff than any A standard English exemplar. Unlike speaking, in writing you have the opportunity to choose what you want on paper. Respect grammar and punctuation. Although you have permission to write as if you spoke, it does not give you the right to fully disregard the rules of English writing. People will tune out of your writing if your work is riddled with mistakes, making it unreadable. It's selfish for us to pick up the pieces where the writer is responsible for the correct form of writing. However, if your work is engaging enough, people will overlook your technical mistakes. The message is valued over the execution. Use the drafting process. There have been times where I'll write a 1,000-word article to then look at it again the next day with new eyes. A sentence can change here. I'll rearrange that. I don't need this part. Is this the best way to communicate my ideas? Sometimes my writing will go all over the place. I will hop back and forth from section to section, adding bits at a time. Hell, I'll flip between different articles and scripts if I'm really in a rut. It's like cooking. Ideas need to marinate before putting it in the oven and served on a plate called publication. Have a robot tell your writing sucks. Now, I don't use ChatGPT to write entire articles. What I do ask of it is suggestions of making the article better. A language model as a proofreader is a viable solution for feedback on your writing. For example, where I fall short is being concise and over-elaborating on details that don't add to the overarching idea. Especially with telling my own personal stories, I try writing every possible detail thinking it's important. It's not. The only details that are important are the ones that push the story forward. Other details can be left to the interpretation of the reader/listener. Find your writing blind spots. An unbiased algorithm can help with that. You don't have writer's block. From what I've read, writer's block originates when one's filter becomes over-restrictive. What do I mean? You fear that what you will write will be badly judged. Thus, you stop yourself from starting in the first place. Write everything that is on your mind. The filtering should happen after you get the raw writing down, because refining should not be your job at the start of the process. It will stop you from writing at all. And a lot of students get discouraged by what feedback they get when in the drafting process. So, what have we learnt? Before you start writing, have something to write about. Read more to mainly get perspective, write how you speak, respect grammar and punctuation, but get away with it if the message is good. Draft your ideas, get a robot to tell your writing sucks, and filter less of your ideas.